Hey guys, this is Kyle at ProjectionHub, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a business plan for a bar. And what this video is not going to be is I'm not going to write every single word in a business plan here in front of you. But what I am going to do is I'm going to scroll through our business plan I'm going to show you here, and I'm going to demonstrate, what's the outline, what's the structure. And then the main thing is I'm going to show you 5 key points that your business plan needs to do if you want to get approved for funding. Now, you may just be creating this business plan as an initial test to start putting ideas and thoughts down together. And I still think this video is really going to help you, especially if you ever hope to launch or secure funding. You're going to need to know these 5 key points that will really make or break your business plan. Now, who is ProjectionHub? We have helped more than 50,000 businesses, small businesses, tech businesses create financial projections for their business plans, for their loan applications, for their investor pitch decks. And our most common customer is Main Street businesses. That's a lot of restaurants. That's a lot of bars. So we're very familiar with this industry. And before my time with ProjectionHub helping with financial projections, I was actually a loan officer with a small business administration lender. So I did that for 7 years and helped and reviewed thousands of business plans, many restaurants, many bars. So I got a chance to review a lot of business plans, a lot of projections, and put together a lot of loan request packages. Many were approved, some were denied, and that experience has helped me here today to demonstrate the 5 key points you need to be paying attention to. So if at any point this video is helpful for you, please give us a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content that will be helpful in growing your business, managing your business, subscribe to the channel. We release content regularly. So with that, we're going to go ahead and jump in. Okay, so first off, why is your business plan important? Now, I don't want to be cliche. You've probably already heard this, or maybe it's obvious, but the purpose of your business plan is to not educate the person reading it or the lender on what the industry is, or what the industry is important in the industry. Because for an industry like a bar or a tavern or a bar and grill, it's not a new concept. That's not to put down your business idea. That's just to say that they're familiar, and that's a good thing for you, because that saves you the time to not have to explain all that stuff. So what your business plan needs to do is to demonstrate your specific path, your plan to success. What's going to be in your business plan that's going to give them a high degree of confidence that your plan is going to go exactly like you hope it's going to. You're going to be successful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll through here and just highlight the sections of your business plan. And then when we hit the areas where the 5 key points are, I'll pause and I'll drill into those a little bit, try and give you some examples that would be usable and actionable for you. So you can see the table of contents here. And one quick thing I want to point out is you notice this table of contents doesn't go past 11 pages. Contrary to popular belief, your business plan does not need to be super long. Oftentimes when I was working as a loan officer, someone would hand me a 40-page business plan. And I'm just telling you right now, nobody is reading a 40-page business plan. That's not because they don't like your idea, but that's just because they don't have time to read that. And so your business plan should be 5 to 15 pages long. Maybe not 5. You want to shoot a little bit more detailed than that. But the purpose of that is to hit the high points. You don't want the important decision-making details of your business plan to get muddied in the really technical details that your lender doesn't really need to know about your specific industry. And so you can create a 50-page business plan if that's what you need to get organized and create a good plan and feel confident about what you're doing. But what you deliver to your lender should be trimmed back. It should be 10 pages, 15 pages, and really succinct and to the point. So, and I should mention, this business plan template is available for free down in the description, no strings attached, because it's only going to be as good as the information you put in it. So feel free to grab this template as a starting point for you. All right, scrolling through here. First off, we've got the executive summary. Now, I want you to think about your executive summary kind of like as a cover letter to a resume. This is their first introduction to you and your idea. In theory, you probably have a relationship with your lender already. But here we want to hit the high points. We want to put the name. Are you going to serve a specific, what's your atmosphere going to be like? Where do you hope to be located at? What is your estimated startup costs? Will that be from a loan? Do you have some personal investment? Do you have an equity investor involved? So hit those kind of high points here early on. So you're kind of setting the stage for the rest of the business plan. That's important to do there. And next would be the business concept. This is a little bit more of just gonna be an elaboration on like what makes your bar unique. This is not one of the key points yet. What are you going to do rather than just like, we're going to serve alcohol, we're going to serve drinks? Are you going to have themed? Are you going to have dancing? Are you going to serve food? Are you going to serve a certain type of food? And, that's where you'll want to elaborate on that a little bit more. Maybe you can even include your menu. I guess, we have a menu down later, so you don't need to go as far as detail in your menu, but maybe just an elaboration on the atmosphere, the theme, that kind of stuff. Okay, market analysis. First key point in your market analysis. The purpose of this section is to demonstrate that there is room in the market for your bar. So if it's really saturated, that doesn't mean you can't open a bar. But that means you really have to prove that you can disrupt the market enough that you're going to capture enough customers to support your business. Or you might do a market analysis and say like, man, there's a real opportunity for how many people or things going on in this area and there's not a bar to service them. That's what we're doing in this section. But it's not good enough to just say, we're going to open a bar and people are going to show up. There's room. I'm from the area and I know that it'll work. That's not good enough. You need to put a little bit more detail, a little more data involved here. Maybe you're wondering, well, how do I do that? I don't have thousands of extra dollars to have a market research study done and measure how many cars drive past a certain location or that kind of thing. And that's okay. You don't have to do that. You can do some really simple things. For example, good old fashioned Google, type in bars near me, see what pops up. Now, I'm assuming you would be opening a bar in a location you're familiar with, so you might know of all the bars involved, but there might be some ones that maybe you're not familiar with. And so you need to make sure that you know every single bar within 10 miles of you. That doesn't need to go in your business plan. You can do that outside of your business plan, but you should know every single bar within 10 miles. And what are they offering? Are they offering just drinks? Are they offering drinks and food? Are they offering just liquor? Is it a distillery or is it just craft beer? Or, know what makes difference so you can identify, are there gaps in the market? Is there room for you to go in it? Or is your concept going to be similar to 5 or 6 others? So do that. Make sure you know what's in your area. Another thing that you can do is, do you know how many liquor licenses have been issued in your city? One, because if they're all at a liquor license, then you're gonna have to go buy one from someone else and that might be really expensive. Or two, you might be able to get a count on how many of those have actually been issued in your city or your area. So that might be a helpful place to start. Do you have a location identified? Do you think that the foot traffic and the drive-in traffic is going to be helpful? Another thing to think about is sometimes it's going to be important for bars is there needs to be attractions around the bar. And that might even be another bar, right? If it's an environment where people like to go from one bar to another, but maybe there's only 2 bars and a third one would be great, then that could be an idea. Or maybe there's a strip of restaurants, but no bar, or maybe there's a music venue, but there's no bar close by. Like, those are types of things you're going to want to do research like this to put in your business plan. Another thing that I can show you to do really quickly for free, another Google tool, you can create a free Google Ads account, and they have this tool. Under tools, you can go to Keyword Planner. You can basically search certain keyword phrases that people would go to Google to type in and see how often that's being searched. So I set my location to Fishers, Indiana, which is a suburb outside of Indianapolis. Okay, it's very specific. Sometimes if you use a big city, you're going to get an unrealistic thing, right? If I use Indianapolis, it's going to be a couple million people. We're a little fish in a big pond, right? So that's going to be unrealistic. So maybe I'm choosing Fishers because that's going to be 10, 15, 20 miles of a certain section, and bars near me, right? So people searching that. Now, what I'm less interested in is how many people are searching that, because I don't think that's a good indicator of how many people necessarily would be a potential customer, but I want to see some trends, okay? So I want to see, is there growth? Okay, we've got a 22% increase year over year in people searching for bars near me. So that to me is an indication that the community is growing, the population is growing, customers for bars are growing. So sports bar near me is still growing, pubs near me growing 40%, bars open near me. So some of these are decreasing, drinks near me, because those are maybe kind of confusing, nightclubs near me, Irish pub near me. So those are things that, bar and restaurant near me, that's increasing. So that's a good indicator that that area is seeing positive growth. Okay, that's not the only thing we should be looking at, but those are types of things we can do. We can put in our business plan to help us give some sort of assessment of the industry. Okay, so key point number 1, you need to demonstrate that there's room in the market for your bar that you're going to open. Moving forward, competitive analysis, kind of similar to what I just talked about already, right? An elaboration of the market analysis. So this isn't another key point, but again, put in your most significant or most similar or close by competitors, and maybe talk about what are you going to do that's a little bit different. Can you offer something complementary to them? That's, I think, speaks for itself. Okay, marketing strategy. This is going to be where we're going to have key point number 2, and that is customer acquisition. So we've already identified that there are customers. Okay, so we did that in point number 1. Now in point number 2, we need to identify how are we actually going to get those customers in the door. So of course, a marketing strategy, maybe that sounds obvious. You can't just put, we're going to have a website and a social media page. Okay, that's kind of the mentality of like, build it and they will come, which might work, right? Depending upon how large of a need there is for a bar in your area, you might build it and people might show up. But if it's going to be a little bit more competitive than that, we need to demonstrate a little bit more tangible customer acquisition momentum. So what can that look like? Now, it's a little hard to demonstrate traction in a prospective bar because you can't really pre-sell. You're selling an experience and you're reselling someone else's product, right? So you can't really do samples or tastings or that kind of thing. So you got to get a little bit creative in your launch strategy, your marketing strategy. The thing I like to recommend for people launching a business, regardless of the type of business, is anything you can do to get names on a list is a great example of traction, of a starting base of customers. So if that is create pre-signups for a founders club that might get discounts on drinks for the first year. If that's gather a local pre-launch list of signups, and then you'll do giveaways for anyone that's on that list. That is a great way. If you can get names on a list, that means you have people to contact. That means you have people interested in showing up at launch. Okay, so that is a great example of, those aren't made up people. Those are real lists. If you can put in your business plan, we've got 1,500 people already signed up on our pre-launch whatever list, that's awesome to include that. Demonstrates to your lender that there's already some hype. There's already some traction about what you're doing. Start a social media channel where you're making fun drinks and cocktails and get people excited about, what you're going to offer to them. Okay, so that's key point number 2. Okay, moving along, menu and kitchen operations. So here you'll outline your menu. This is not a key point, but this is important to put a lot of information, but I'm going to tell you it's not going to make the difference in an approval of your loan request. This is a section where you get to put all of the things that you're an expert about, because your lender wants to see, do they know what they're talking about? That they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to the menu, but they want to see that, like, oh yeah, they clearly know what they're doing. So you can't put nothing there, or else they will think, well, maybe they don't know what they're doing. You got to spend time there, but that should be a given. Okay, so that's not a key point yet. Service and hospitality. Okay, so maybe you'll talk a little bit about the services you'll provide, or maybe a unique experience. We're going to keep going here down to the financial plan. Financial projections. Okay, a little bit biased because obviously we specialize in financial projections, but this is the most important part of your business plan. Even when I was a lender, I would have said this is the most important part, and where your lender is going to spend the most amount of time reviewing. So in this plan example, I've got, startup costs and a breakdown of those startup costs. I've got the 5 years of kind of high level financial numbers, as well as some summary data. Got sales growth, we've got some key ratios, and then we've got 5-year financial pro forma statements for an income statement or a profit and loss, balance sheet, and a cash flow statement. Now, full transparency, all those numbers came from this BAR financial projection template. I will link this down in the description below. It's less than $100. And actually at the end of the video, I will give you a promo code to make it even cheaper for you. It was built by CPA on our staff. I mean it when I say this is gonna be the easiest way to create for financial projections. It's made with the intent that you can fill it out on your own. Of course, we're here to answer questions and help you and even provide a free review when you're done, but you will be able to do this on your own. And it's very simple. You're gonna put in the things you need to purchase, when the bar is gonna start. Are you gonna have loans? It's even gonna help you calculate how much cash you're gonna need to start. It's gonna help you calculate your number of revenue. How many seats do you have? How often will you be open? Estimated capacity growth. Simple menu item categories here for the drinks you're gonna be selling. Are you gonna offer takeout? And then you can put in your server costs, bartender costs, your operating expenses like your rent, and things that are going to happen every month. And then if you have any salaried employees, as well as owner's draws, we only edit the blue sections, and then it's going to produce all of these charts and financial statements for you. Okay, it's going to do it automatically. They're ready to go. If you make any edits, it'll automatically update them. So it's a very easy way to create your financial projections. And again, I'll link that down in the description. But that is not key point number 3. Financial projections are a given. You need to have them. They're a requirement, especially if you're trying to get a business loan for a startup. But key point number 3 is that your financial projections need to be realistic and within industry norms. So you might ask, well, I've never started a bar before. Like, how do I know what's realistic? Go back to Google, do some researching, okay? What we're gonna be looking at are the key numbers. So let's open these projections one more time, because a good example here is you've got these key ratios, okay? So maybe let's look at what is a typical profit margin for a bar. You don't always have to take the first answer, right? You can read through reports and other pages, but I see 10 and 15%. That's profit margin. So I'm gonna go down here. My projections right now say 20% up to 26%, okay? So a little bit high. I don't think that that's an absurdly high number. Okay, so if I was a lender looking at that, I might be like, well, that's super unrealistic, but that's important to know. And you can do that for any one of these numbers. What's typical revenue for a new bar? What is an average percentage of cost of goods sold, right? I want to make sure the cost of my drinks and my labor aren't, super high or super unrealistically low. Your lender isn't going to necessarily just have this cheat sheet of like, this is exactly what it needs to be. They might have some industry benchmarks, but they're going to be looking for numbers that jump out to them that are really unrealistic. But if you've done your research on what is typical for the industry, then you can be confident that 1, you know what you're doing. 2, this lines up with what other people are doing. You can feel good about your projections. Okay, so that's key point number 3 is realistic financial projections. All right, and then down here we've got organizational structure, and here we're gonna hit on key point number 4, and that is relevant industry experience. So you want to demonstrate in your business plan that you know what you're doing. Okay, so do you have experience working at a bar, managing a bar, owning a bar? If you don't, does a partner involved with the business have that experience? If your partner doesn't, do you have a key employee or a few key employees that have a lot of experience in doing this and they're partnered up with your team, okay, and they're part of your launch team? That's gonna be really important for your lender. Is if you don't have industry relevant experience, that's gonna raise some questions. In my time during a lender, we often had people that were maybe long time corporate careers, and then they decided it was time that they wanted to open up a business that had nothing to do with what their career was, which isn't always a bad thing, but the question is, do you know what you're getting yourself into? Are you going to be able to be successful? So if that's not you, if you don't have that experience, maybe you have the funding, maybe you have the interest in it, you still need to have that expertise on your team to give your lenders the confidence that you actually are equipped to launch this business. And then that will bring us down to our conclusion, but we're missing one key point. And our fifth point is skin in the game. Now, if you haven't heard that terminology, that's kind of like a mutual risk. So let's use the example of if you're purchasing a house. Let's say you're going to go buy a house and you're going to get a mortgage for that house. Your bank is going to require you to put in a 10% down payment, 5% down payment, 20% down payment. And because that's your initial cash investment into that property. And then they're going to have a lien on your house until that loan is gone. So if you were to default on that loan, they would take the house. You would also lose your down payment. That's typical, right? They're the one fronting the money. They're the one making the investment in that property. Same thing is true for a business. If your startup costs are going to be $100,000 and you go to the bank, they might say, we'll give you $80,000. You've got to invest the other $20,000. And then on top of that, they're going to want collateral. Okay. So that might be the equipment that comes with the business. If you buy a building, the building will be the collateral. If you're renting the building, you're going to have to come up with collateral in a different way. That might be a personal asset. That might be a second mortgage on your home. That might be a free and clear car title. I often heard whenever I was a lender, someone would come to me and they'd say, I want to keep the business and the personal separate. So I can't have anything personal involved. I say, that's great advice when it comes to a bank account, bookkeeping, accounting. Keep those things separate, but it is not realistic when it comes to getting a loan or getting funding. You are absolutely going to be required because your lender wants to see that you're just as committed personally as you are with the business to making it work. So unfortunately, that's an unrealistic expectation unless you have some other significant amount of collateral or whatever that's detached from you personally. And that's it. That's the 5 key points that are really going to make your bar business plan shine. If you have any questions, please reach out at support@projectionhub.com. And again, I've linked the free business plan for the bar down in the description below, as well as the bar projection templates. And as promised, you might have seen it when I was scrolling by, is we've got a 20% discount code, PH20BP, that you can grab another 20% off of the projection template. And we also have a video guide that takes you through the whole thing, how to fill it out. And you can reach out and ask us questions. And we offer a free review of any completed projection if you're wanting some feedback. So if this video was helpful, like the video, subscribe for more of our content, and we appreciate your time. Thanks.